Hello everyone, and welcome to the Roguelike Monthly Marathon for April 3rd. Yesterday, we beat Slay the Spire, and today we're swapping from cards to dice as we try and beat Dicey Dungeon in order to add it to our trophy cabinet. There you can see Slay the Spire is well lit, meaning that we've defeated it, and there are 14 other games that I'm trying to beat in this month, and eventually we'll see if we add some more if I ever beat all of those to work up to 30. The rules, if you wanted to see them again, you can pause there and take a look at them. They're fairly self-explanatory. But for now, we have Dicey Dungeons. So we will play. We'll use the main default character of the warrior. And we only need to beat the standard game, the warrior's welcome. And so this is the Lady Luck who has trapped us in this never-ending game show. Which is a strange premise, but one nonetheless. We are the warrior, we have 24 hit points, we currently have 0 gold and 2 dice, and we will level up when we get 2 experience. Each of these creatures are worth 1 experience each, so we'll level up before the end of the floor. We will start with Hothead, because then we can get this equipment over here, so we can just freely walk through the map. And I'll show you how combat goes. Hothead is weak to ice. I don't believe we're going to have any ice attacks this turn. So these are the different skills that we have, and we can equip different skills as we move through the course of the campaign. And these are our 2 dice. So at the moment we have 2 5s. 2 5s is reasonably good. The sword lets us do dice roll damage to the Hothead, so this would be 5. And the combat roll lets us re-roll a dice 3 times in a turn. So we have 3 opportunities to roll one of these 5s into a 6, because a 6 would do more damage than a 5, and if we fail to do so, then we will just attack with the 5, the sword is expended, and we can end our turn. So they've dealt 6 damage to us and burnt one of our dice. Burn will inflict 2 HP of damage to us if we wish to extinguish and use that dice. So we'll see if we can't reroll this. We'll keep the 5 rather than extinguishing this, costing us 2 health. We'll just attack for 5 again. Then next turn, we only need to attack for 4 more. They're going to hit us really hard again. And now we need 4 damage here. We've gained our limit break because we've taken so much damage, which is to double our next action. But we should be able to roll a 4 or higher. There we go. And Hothead has been defeated. We get 1 gold, 1 experience, and you can see we're halfway to our next level. The chest inside has a hammer. This does dice roll damage on a 6, inflict 1 shock. So we can put any dice in here, but if it happens to be a 6, we inflict shock. So we'll take that. Because we have room for it in our equipped items, it's been automatically equipped. We have a 2x3 section here for our equipped information, and the backpack can have anything else. So we will take those and go and fight the wolf puppy. That's right, in Baldur's Gate 3 I will not kill a dog, but in Dicey Dungeons it is just necessary. Wolf puppy is strong against poison. So we have our limit break. This will double our next item that we use. And this puppy has 12 HP. So if we can reroll this into a 6, we have 2 attacks that... Did I say that right? This puppy has 12 HP, which is 2 6s. If we could have rolled the first dice into a 6, we could attack with each 1 in the sword, 1 in the hammer. But lacking that, we can use Fury, and this 6 will be done damage twice for 6 and 12, immediately killing the puppy. Doing so, our maximum health is increased by 4, and we now have an extra dice. So our max health has been healed up to 28, and we have 3 dice every time we take a turn, rather than 2. Here we have another floor. There's another chest up here. There's a small shop on the right, and an apple there is worth 5 health to us. We can either go and take the equipment first, and then try and use that to get through the 2 subsequent fights, or we can fight the pirate and the dryad, and then if things are looking really bad, just escape without the equipment. But realistically, we want to get every attack in we can, because by attacking all of the foes, we should level up again. So we'll start with Stereohead. Stereohead is weak to shock, and our hammer does shock, and we've rolled a 6, so that's an easy turn to do. The shock will temporarily disable a random piece of equipment. They can use a dice to unshock themselves. So with only 2 dice and these 2 moves, they may not be able to make any attack against us at all. We will roll for something bigger than a 3, keep the 4, reroll the 3, see if we can find something bigger than the 4, and the 5 we will attack with. With no other place to put our 4, we will pass. And they require a max roll of 4, so with those 6s they can't do anything with them. Again, we have rolled a 6, and Stereo Head is defeated very swiftly. As for the equipment, we have Bump. This will increase the dice's value by 1, which is excellent. That means any 5s that we have, we can turn into 6s, which will then proc the shock. As for this pirate, no special weaknesses or strengths. They have a pirate hook to attack for up to 5 damage, and on a 4 they can reuse it. And cannon fire, they have to tick up to 8 pips over any number of turns, dealing 6 fire damage and 1 burn. So let's start by re-rolling this 2. Now we have 3 4s, another 2, another 4. We will bump one of these to a 5, and it doesn't matter which way around these go because we only get the extra bonuses on a 6. A pair of 1s is great because that's basically the lowest damage they can do and the lowest progress on their cannon. Here we will combat roll our 1. Combat roll the 2. The 5 we will bump into a 6, attack with shock. See if we can combat roll one of our 4s into something higher. We can, and we'll attack with that. Pretty self-explanatory so far. Most of our moves are playing themselves, but with more equipment and more choices later on, it does get a little more complex. Especially when you get to some of the other characters. Oh, we could have won already. It's just bad manners. The other characters, it does get far more complex, and there's a lot more synergy to be paying attention to. So, a spiked shield. We can roll a maximum of 5. If it's an even number, we'll do that much damage, so 1, 3, or 5. 2 or 4. If it's an odd number, we will gain that much shield instead. The boomerang, we will do 2 times dice roll to the enemy, but dice roll to ourselves. We also have to consider that we have 2 large pieces of equipment at the moment and 1 small piece of equipment. So we can afford to take another small piece of equipment and keep everything we have equipped. So I will do that. You'll see we have 2 large and 2 small here. We'll now see what is in the shop. We don't have to buy it immediately. Dagger, max 3 damage, but is reusable. First aid kit, we have to put 16 pips into it, and then we will heal for 8. And a taser, max 3, do 3 damage, or max up to 3 damage, and shock the enemy. We have 4 gold, so we can buy one of these in a moment. But let's see how this fight goes first. Strong against poison. Well, we have no poison skills. We will inflict shock first. And I don't see any reason to do 6 damage to ourselves, so we will do 6 damage to our foe there, and bumping doesn't help us. Actually, we could do 8 damage here, take 4 to ourselves, and then almost guarantee a kill next turn. With that said, we have 3 attacks, and they're shocked. What are their attacks against us? 12 adds 4 poison. Venus Flytrap, do X damage on 6, restore 2 health. I don't fear that turn very much, so rather than hurting ourselves with our boomerang, we will let them do this. And here we need to do 14 damage. We can Fury to do that twice, but instead we can go 6 here, 5 here, and ideally we would roll a 2 here. 3 is fine. We do still take that 3 damage there. We can heal for 6, and back to the shop. I'm tempted by the first aid kit just because that will help keep us alive throughout the course of this. We only really get one shot, and if we lose, that's another day's burnt on the Roguelike monthly marathon. If we were to take this, what would we get rid of? Probably Boomerang. I'll do that. So we unequip Boomerang, equip first aid kit, and carry on down to the next floor. So here we are spawning on the left. There's 2 lots of 6 health immediately, a wizard, a chest, an anvil to upgrade a piece of equipment, handyman, fireman, and another shop at the end of the floor. We would overheal if we took either of these apples, so we'll walk straight past them to the wizard. 6s right up front are excellent. They have 1 spell for each dice roll value, but they only roll 1 dice. So if we shock them, they are now unable to play. Whichever piece of equipment is shocked, they will not be able to play because they only have 1 dice. Let's attack here for 6. Bump this up to 5. Put that in there and wait for our next turn. So they're going to play 6 into Hall of Mirrors. They now have 2 dice. This does not faze me too much because we should be able to kill them fairly quickly. If we Fury on this 5, this isn't going to be an action. This is going to be an action, so we've decreased the number of pips needed on our first aid kit and defeated the wizard. We will look at the equipment because we can do that for free. We can take a bump. It's not automatically equipped, it's put into our backpack, and I don't think we need 2 bumps currently, but we'll hold it on for later. Handyman. No strengths or skills, 32 health, 3 dice. Spanner can combine 2 dice. For 5 pips, they can do 2 damage, and they have a hammer like we do. So 6 immediately goes into the hammer. The first aid kit resets to 16 every time. I thought it stayed on the lower number through one fight to the next. That is excellent to know. It might be then we unequip the first aid kit when we're very healthy. 1 more dice roll left. There's a 6. And we still might be able to heal this turn, or this fight. They've used our own shock against us. Hopefully it's the med kit. It's bump. We can deal with that. No problem. Four damage here. 3 into there. And maybe we will heal ourselves before taking a further turn. They're going to hammer us once again. That's pretty rough. There are 2 apples, though, on the floor. We need to do 10 damage. Well, with a well-placed combat roll, we can do 12 damage with Handyman. With Fury, excuse me. But can we do this otherwise? If this is a 5 or a 6, we can save our Fury for a subsequent fight. And we've leveled up to level 4. We get an extra dice. And that has fully healed us. So now we have very little to worry about. In the shop, Snake Eye Charm. For 6, we roll 2 1s. This can be beneficial on some pieces of equipment that want low rolls. Snowballs, if we add a odd numbered dice to this, it will do damage and freeze. And we've seen Boomerang before. I think I'm going to take Snowball and replace Medkit with it. As for the Anvil, we can take any of our equipment to see what can be upgraded. Sword will always do 1 extra damage when we attack with it. Hammer will become smaller. Bump can be used twice. or snowball will do 1 extra damage. I think hammer becoming smaller is excellent. So we can go back to our equipment. We now have an empty slot, and we can put bump in there for now. We can always swap it out for first aid kit if we wish. Then we'll fight the firemen, go and eat the apples for any health that we've lost, and carry on to the next floor. Excellent dice rolls today. So the other thing we can do is, if you put a 6 in a bump, it becomes a 7. A 7 is not a face on a d6, as I'm sure you're well aware, so what happens is we would get an extra dice of the value of 1 handed to us. As it is though, we only need a 6, a 6, and a 5 to do max damage here. And with our bump, we have that in place. Perhaps... oh no, we couldn't put a 6 in this because it's a max 5 anyway, even though they are weak to ice. So if we put 4 damage in here, and they are weak to ice, that will be a fast win. Lots of experience needed for our next level up and full heal. This apple gives us extra health. We do not have the 3 gold required to buy either of these things, and so down we go once again. 3 ways to go here. Another direwolf. I guess the previous one was a puppy, a bully, and a wicker man. Well, let's go and we'll do the bully first. That way we can escape immediately if we need to. Being so far away from our next level, it seems easier to make an escape for it should we wish to. Here it's going to be... let's just check what their moves are. Rock, once per battle, do that damage. And fists do 3 damage, used twice in a turn. So even if we shock them, they're still going to have all the rocks they could desire. So with 2 dice, we're not going to worry about using Fury here yet. We can reroll for a 5, but we don't need to because 2 bumps on a 3 makes a 5. And that's that turn resolved. That's half his health all at once. The Frozen has turned their highest dice roll into a 1, which is great for us. Lots of 1s here that will start re-rolling. 6 goes into hammer. We can bump the 4 into a 5 for the sword, and a 2, not a 2, a 4 into a 5 for odd here on the snowball. 1 health left. Not taking very much damage here at all. And that fight is over. So, now that we have 4 dice per fight, what we can do is we will eat this apple for 7. That puts us at 29 of 36. I'm going to remove one of my bumps, put the first aid kit back, because it should be much easier to get to the 16 required to make it proc when we want it to. So they will take our sword and trade us for a toxic ooze. Do damage, and on 6 add 2 poison. That is fundamentally better. Maybe some creatures might have resistance to poison, but I think this is worth doing. So there's our toxic ooze. Let's go for the direwolf because we'll get the equipment before taking on the wicker man. Direwolf is strong against poison. Well, that is unfortunate, but here we are. Let's reroll the 1. Reroll the 2. Reroll the 2 again. Well, we're not going to make 6. So 5 goes into shock. 3 goes into ice. 4 goes into poison. Only does 2 damage, but it's worth it. We'll hold on to our fury to see if we can't get a 6 for our hammer to do that twice. We have been cursed and poisoned. The poison hits us for the total value, so we had 2 poison when our turn started, hurt us for 2, and then got decreased by 1. The curse, all equipment has a 50% chance to fail, disappears once triggered. So I would rather use my worst equipment first before risking my good equipment falling to the curse. So, where do we start? Probably over here. Now we have a couple of 6s. Let's bump the 4 into a 5. The curse has been lifted. We can Fury to hammer twice. And then here I'm going to freeze one of his dice and put 6 points into the first aid kit because I'd like to heal, and he is strong against poison, so less value in playing the 6 in our Toxic Ooze. So he has 13 health. That's 2 6s and a 1, or a 5 and then 8 more damage from that. So I think we should be able to put our first aid kit into use here. For a start, 6 is always going to go here. 7 HP left. We need a 5 there. And a 4 here will kill him. Unfortunately, we can't make 7 on our remaining dice, and I'd rather save myself being attacked through a turn because that's the equivalent of healing, the same result at either end. 8. Deal 6 damage, burn 1 dice. Well, we will take it, but I don't think I'm going to equip it quite yet. Wicker Man. Going to be weak to fire, one presumes. Excellent dice rolls here. 12. Deal 9 damage and burn 2 dice. Venus Flytrap. Do damage and restore 2 on a 6. Well, we definitely want to freeze something and shock him if possible. 5 turns into a 6. That's the shock. 3 I'm going to put into the snowball. Reroll the 1 into another one. 4 damage here. 1 for the first aid kit. Boy, we are very close to dying here. Limit break is excellent. I wonder if we could limit break first aid kit for 16 health. Not if we just roll 1s forever, that's for sure. Okay, we're going to bump the 5 into a 6. Would I rather shock 1 piece of equipment and make him burn a dice, or do 2 poison damage? I think the shock is more valuable here. 3 goes in the snowball. 4 goes in the Toxic Ooze. Spare 3 goes in the first aid kit. With a really good roll next turn, we may well be able to attack and heal. Right. For starters, we reroll the 1s. This will do 6 damage. But if we do that, we are unable to place something in the snowball. But if we make this a 5, we would have 5 for the hammer. We would have 5 for the snowball, and 4 on poison means a win for us. And that's a level up, which is a full heal, thank goodness. Shield Bash needs doubles. Do shield's value worth of damage. We have nothing that generates shield well, so we'll take an upgrade. Toxic Ooze becomes small, which means we can re-equip our other bump. First aid kit comes down to 12 pips needed. Bump can be used twice, or snowball adds 1. What about our backpack? Boomerang, we do up to 12 damage, but we will only ever do 3 damage to ourselves. Bump, we can make doubled. We know that already exists. And this will deal 8 damage and 1 burn. Well, we've just taken a full heal, so the first aid kit doesn't seem too dire. Did I say this gets smaller? It doesn't, it just adds 3 poison. That doesn't seem great. I think double bumps is what we want. Floor 5. I was about to say I can't remember how many floors there are, but this is the 5th skull of 6. So I presume it's either one more floor, then a final boss, or the final boss on the next floor. Regardless, we have to fight Aurora. This is the only path we can take for now. And we'll start with combat roll, naturally. There's a 6 for our hammer. Or would we rather start poisoning early? Do 3, inflict 1 freeze once per battle. Recover 3 health. With 4 dice, I would like to inflict shock against you. The 4 can become a 5 for this. We'll start re-rolling the 1. Re-roll the 3. 4 becomes a 5. 3 goes into the first aid kit. That is not too bad. We can now re-roll all of these. However, if we re-roll them all into 1s, that's just pain. We have Fury available to us, but they can only do 3 more damage to us. The rest is inconsequential. So, in fact, what we should do is start whittling away against their health. That's fine. And then, otherwise, throw everything else into the first aid kit so that we can heal to full before this fight resolves. Oh. I thought it was just heal 3 health. I was not paying enough attention to know that the weather could change. Now it's a fight to do this as fast as possible. We have a locked dice, which is a shame. The 6 is going to go here. The 5 is going to go here. So with the 6, what we want to do is bump it twice to make extra dice that we can put into our rerolls. Alright, we need to do 11 damage. We cannot do 11 damage this turn, so I will take this opportunity to heal for 8 and do 2. Two locked dice this time. However, we have enough damage to do 6 here and 4 there, and that's a win. Slightly more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Now we can walk through here. There's an apple for 8 health there. That would overheal us, so I'm not going to take it yet. There's another at the top. Let's see what this equipment is. It's another toxic ooze. I don't think we'll need to equip 2 of those. Then we have the snowman, the singer, and the banshee. I'm going to fight the singer first, because that gets us to an upgrade, and then we'll have better equipment for the subsequent fights. What do you do, singer? Sadverse. Max 4, do 4 damage, weakens enemy, and for a high note, do 12 damage. That sounds like a bad time, and you have 4 dice. Well, I think we will Fury. Probably should have bumped these first, but never mind. We'll do that twice. We'll do that once. I forgot we have poison over here. That's excellent. And then we'll start chipping into our first aid kit. So let's see what weaken does. Temporarily weakens random equipment. Equipment becomes less powerful. So our snowball no longer freezes, and our first aid kit heals for less than it did previously. Well, we can still shock, we can still bump and poison. And still do 5 damage. I don't know if next turn that weakness will be resolved and our equipment will be back to full strength or not. Although that said, they're just going to weaken us again, so it'll be different equipment that is going to be suffering this time. This is fine, because we can go heal for 8, attack for 5, fight over. Shop. Another upgrade. Lightning Rod needs doubles. Discharge 0 damage. Take damage to charge. I see. So if we've taken 12 damage, we can do 12 damage against somebody else. Or 10 HP. Well, I don't think we need either of those for now. So let's see what equipment we've got. First aid kit being easier to proc. That does +1 damage. That does +1 poison. I'm going to take the first aid kit, please. And then let's fight the snowman. Then we'll have both heals available to us if we need them. Weak to fire. We don't have any fire, as I recall. Nope. But they're not strong to ice, which is good. So, for a start, we bump a 5 into a 6 and shock. We will bump another 5 into a 6 and poison. Do 3. We'll keep the 3. We'll reroll the 4. 3 goes here. 6 goes there. They have all the ailments, but they're going to freeze a lot of our stuff. This is another advantage of having 5 different bits of equipment. If we were to, say, be weakened 3 times while we only have 3 bits of equipment, everything would be weakened. But by having more equipment, we spread out that risk. Here, though, it's going to be rerolls to start. Now, we can either freeze or poison. Since we've already got some poison going, I'm inclined to keep increasing that. We can do 5 here and freeze, and then 1 into the first aid kit should see us be able to heal and defeat them in the next turn. So we need to do 7 damage, and we need to get 5 into the first aid kit. There's 5 in the first aid kit. There's 4 damage, and there's another 4 damage. Pretty smooth sailing, and after this fight, we will be full healed because of the level up, so we might as well go into this fight with full health. So what are they doing? Wail. Silences the enemy for 5. Lament. Do X damage, and on 6 inflict 1 freeze. Again, and Shriek. Needs 2. Curses the enemy. Well, that's really horrible. 6 into Hammer Plus. 6 into Poison. 5 into Snowball. See if we can't reroll this for something bigger. Bump that so we get the extra dice. Reroll the 1, becomes a 4. And our first aid kit is ready to heal us whenever we need it, should this fight go very long. We are silenced, so it means we cannot use our special action. And we need 2 dice here to break silence. But I don't think we need to reroll this hand particularly. We can bump this into a 6 and put it there. We can bump this into a 5 and put it there. And I'm just going to do the 4 poison because healing for 4 on 8 seems unnecessary. We can put the 1 in there though, so it will guarantee a heal on any dice roll. Silenced again is actually really good for us because it's something that doesn't hurt us, which is absolutely fine. So, 1 here to heal. Make this a 6. Then we can either have... Oh, we can do a 3 here and a 4 here. Then next turn we will defeat them. Yeah, you can keep silencing me all you want. It just means that I'm going to have my special ability ready for the boss fight coming. We can't make 12 that easily, so we're just going to see this be over. There we are. Max level, max HP increases by 4. We get an extra dice once again. We don't need the apple. Here, I still don't think I want the lightning rod. The healing does not do anything for us, so we will upgrade something. Toxic Ooze to add 3 poison, or Snowball to add an extra 1. Unless we want to take something from our backpack into the final fight against the boss. If it was going to be anything, it would be Bump. So, let's upgrade this Bump. Check what's going on in the next floor. It's the warrior versus Audrey. And against Audrey, let's take a risk. We'll pull the first aid kit out, put Bump plus in. I'm going to do that to make them both on the right. So now we have 4 extra bumps. This means that we can get up to 6s for our hammers, 6s for our toxic oozes, and odds for our snowballs. Here we go. Play that final boss music. Great to see you. Just a heads up, I'm not going to go easy on you. I hope you've done your stretches. Oh, I have, Audrey. I have. Well, let's see what they've got going on. Headbutt. Do X damage. 2 uses this turn. Must be even. Earthquake. 10 damage. Weakens 3 equipment and does... Oh, sorry, 10 pips. Weakens 3 equipment, does 6 damage. Well, if that's the case, I would like them to have really small dice rolls. And to do that, we can Fury, bump a 4 into a 5, then Shock means they have to unshock a piece of equipment, so they would spend 2 dice unshocking both of these, and then the remaining 2 dice can be spent in them, or we can Snowball and freeze 2 dice. I'm going to go with that, because then we can also shock 1 thing. The 4 we can bump twice here, make a 6, and add some poison. Rerolling and bumping is superfluous now. We're going to try and stack the poison on as we go. So they're going to headbutt us for 4 and start the weakness ticking down. Excellent dice rolls for us, and no debuffs. So here, start with some poison, some shock, and a max freeze. And if we can just do that every turn between our rerolls and our bumps, we should be fine here, I think. So 3 weakened pieces of equipment. That's pretty bad. Still, 6 here is going to add 1 poison. We can bump one of our 5s into a 6 to do 6 damage. And 5 is our maximum odd here. 13 health left, 1 turn left to go. I think we should be fine. And we have Fury for good measure. So if we make this a 6, Fury for style points. And that is Audrey defeated. Hi, it's me again. Second warning, make sure you get it right. Spin the wheel, see if you win. Don't say anything about it being rigged. Well, do you think we're going to get the car? Do you think we're going to get the car? No, we're not going to get the car. Funny that. And that, everyone, is a win. So, if we see the before trophy case, you can see that it was only Slay the Spire that was populated. But now, there you go. Dicey Dungeons, 2 wins in 3 days. I think from here it's going to start getting a little bit trickier, but I've certainly been having fun. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you on April 4th. Cheers.